our sailboats today, but we're going to, instead of be looking at one quadrant, we're going to be looking at 4 today. Warming up our brains. We're going to actually be writing what is the opposite of each of these numbers. So thinking back to last unit, positive and negative numbers, and thinking about orders of operations as well. Starting out, 3 times 5 is going to be 15, and the opposite of 15 is negative 15. Looking at our next one, 15 times 3 minus 50. We need to be thinking about our order of operations. Remember our parentheses first, exponents, multiplying and dividing, adding and subtracting, PEMDAS. So if we take a look at this, we have no parentheses, we have no exponents, so we have to do our multiplication and division. So 15 times 3, which is going to give us 45. Okay, so now we have 45 minus 50 remaining. Remember, whenever we see subtracting of numbers, we always make it addition, so change it. As I change the sign, I have to change the sign behind it. It was a positive 50, so now we need to make it negative. Remember, when we're adding a positive and negative number, we actually just need to subtract. So 45 minus 50, or 50 minus 45 is 5. And keep the sign of the larger number. 50 is larger, it's negative. So a negative 5. But our directions tell us we need to do the opposite of what it actually is. So instead of negative 5, our answer would be 5. A half of 24. Remember, of means to multiply. Half of 24 divided by 2 is 12 is our answer, but we need the opposite of. Opposite of 12 is negative 12. Looking at our last example, negative 216 plus negative 58. Remember, when you are adding two negatives or two positives, you just strictly add them. So if we were to do 216, 58, 8 plus 6 is 14, carry the 1, 5, 6, 7, 274. So our answer is 274. But remember that we're doing the opposite of, so we'll go ahead and get rid of that negative to get our answer of 274. Math message for today: the Divers Club and the Rock Climbers Club compete against each other by drawing cards that tell the depths of the dives and heights for climbs. Which of these distance below are for divers and which are for climbers? If we take a look at those numbers, you can see that some are positive and some are negative. Altitude is measured in relation to sea level, so the negative numbers are for the divers and the positives are for the climbers. So 0 is here, so above it would be positive, so that's our climbers, and below it would be our divers, so we're going below sea level. All right, starting out, today we're going to be doing some sailboat graphing once again. Taking a look at the rules. It says add 10 to the first number of the original pair. So 9 plus 10 is 19. And we keep the second number the same. In rule number 2, or the sailboat number 2, it says to change the first number of the original pair to the opposite of the other number. Opposite of 9 is negative 9. Now taking a look at this rule, it says you need to change the second number of the original pair to the opposite. So opposite of 3 is negative 3. So you will be having some positives and negative numbers here as you fill out your sailboat graphs. Some of you may get confused on what your graph would look like because you see a negative number. Remember, we always start at 0, so if our first number was negative 5, we have to go to the left, which would be negative. Because remember, we always go right to left first. If our second number is negative, then we have to go down. Always remember still that you must move left to right first, then up and down. A hint for you is whenever you are looking at a coordinate grid, the first number here is going to be positive, and the second number is going to be positive because we are moving in a, oops, sorry about that. You're moving in a positive direction this way, as well as going up. Those are both positive. Now, if we're taking a look at this first quadrant, which is right over here, we're first going to the left, which is negative, and then we're moving up, which is positive. So if yours starts out with a negative number first, we're moving to the left, and it will be in this top quadrant. Taking a look down below at this next quadrant, which is right here, it would be a positive, because we're first going to go to the right of 0, but then you're going to have to go down, so it is a negative. Taking a look at this example over here, this would be negative and negative. You're going to the left and you're going down. So if I were to say the number -3, 2, okay, I know that the first time number -3 tells me to go left of the 0 because we have to go over first, and then I need to go up 2. So it's actually going to be in this quadrant. Okay, and it starts with a negative number, and then it is positive. If I were to give the number -4, -4, I should know automatically that it is going to be in this quadrant down here. Both of them are negative. If I give an example of 3, -2, I automatically will know that it will be in this quadrant because I have a positive number followed by a negative number. That should help you today as you're plotting those new points. As you plot all of your sailboats, I want you really to be thinking about what are the changes from the original sailboat to the new sailboat, because those are big questions that I ask as you come up to get your work checked today. You're going to be playing Hidden Treasure again. The rules have not changed, however, now that they're going to be both positive and negative quadrants. So instead of having before you just had this one section, now you're going to have 4 to do. Remember, this is positive, positive, this is positive, and then negative. This is negative, negative, and then it's negative, positive. That should help you as you're playing the game. Okay, you can see those 4 quadrants. I suggest writing something like this down to help you to make it maybe a little bit easier if you're still struggling with it. And that is all that your lesson is on today. Really make sure that you're reviewing that you must move left or right first before you can go up or down, and be really thinking about those positive and negative numbers. If the first number is negative, you move to the left. If your first number is positive, you move to the right. If your second number is negative, you move downward. If your second number is positive, you move upward.